by law to report things to the police, right? So if just a normal person, if just your ordinary, average, normal person comes into information by some reason, they don't have an obligation to report it to the police, right? No affirmative duty. So if I'm just passing on the street and I see you, playing with guns or something, I can just keep walking and no harm to me, ma'am. But if I'm a teacher, if I'm a principal, if I'm a school therapist, and I'm acting within the scope of those roles as I am, and I have this and I don't report it, in addition to my potential manslaughter charges, violation of mandatory reporters. So we're looking into that too. Okay, so now there's this issue about whether or not the parents were fleeing, to which the attorney says no. So the parents were found apparently in a warehouse for the artist. So I'm having a difficult time at the moment. So further information could come in that will change the analysis. But at least where we're sitting right now, I'm having a somewhat difficult time seeing how we get to gross negligence by the parents without also getting to gross negligence by the teacher, the principal, and or the school counselor, who are in as good, if not a better position, particularly based as it might be on professional training, right? Because presumably they have degrees in education, which, talks about that presumably the school counselor has some sort of psychology degrees or something, like, and they're in a better position, if anything, and they're like, go off to school. So how can they beat it? So if I'm the defense attorney for these guys, given what I know, and assuming that they don't charge the school people with it, first of all, I'm calling all three of those people on the stand on my defense side, right? And watch them plead the fifth, which would be hilarious. And I'm going to definitely, it won't be obviously the dominant part of my argument. It won't be the major thrust of my argument, but you better damn believe that it's going to be part of my argument as the defense lawyer. Like, how can these guys be negligent when these guys are on trial? The state obviously thinks this guy was a ticking time bomb. Where are the school officials who were in a better position? No, this is a joke. This is a farce. You shouldn't take that seriously, right? Obviously, I massage it a little bit more than that, but that's kind of the thrust. It's like, where's the real accountability of this? And if they do wind up charging the school officials and put them on trial all at the same time, which would be hilarious, right? Because it would be part of the same contemporaneous series of events. So at this theoretical trial that might occur in the future, you could have both parents and the principal and the teacher and the psychologist, potentially five defendants sitting at this future table sometime. That might be interesting and fun. But we're a long, long way away from there, my friends. A long, long way. The fact that we haven't charged the school officials yet is a little bit suspicious, at least to my mind. All right, so that's what I think so far. So far, I am somewhat skeptical. So far, I'm somewhat skeptical against parents of the parents because the parents only, assuming nothing else, which but we don't know that. So assuming nothing else, all the parents know about was one search for ammo. Which, why would that necessarily freak them out by itself? And then when they're brought into school, they see the picture, and then they see the school officials not freaking out about it. So why did they freak out about it? And one of the suggestions has been, well, why did they text? Why did the mom text her son? Saying, don't do it, don't do it.
Hey guys, so what do you think? You have probably heard about the Michigan parents who were arrested, right? What do you guys think? I stopped that other stream just now because he got to the part where he was saying that the mom texted, don't do it, don't do it. I don't think she did. I think she texted some kind of a silly remark about that. I think don't get caught or not getting caught or whatever. And it wasn't about that. It was about drawing weird pictures. So this makes no sense that he's saying that the mom was texting, don't do it, don't do it. And then he also made some kind of a comment about how it was a straw man purchase because the parents bought a gun for a kid who wasn't old enough to have the gun or to buy it himself. And a lot of people were talking about it in chat and everything. And then a few minutes later in his live chat, he said he never said that. And then people in the chat said, yes, you did. And then he said, oh, he was just being facetious or sarcastic or whatever. So I don't know. Otherwise, I think the guy does a pretty good job with his channel. He's interesting to listen to. He explains the law really well. But the case of the parents who were arrested. Why are they arrested? Why? What is it that we don't know yet? What's the rest of the story on that case? Surely there has to be more than what we've learned so far. If there isn't more than what we've learned so far, then what's really going on? Could it be that the lefties are really upset about the Rittenhouse verdict? I mean, the lefties overall. You know, look at that other case out of Georgia. Look at how the media handled that case after the Rittenhouse verdict, right? Could it be that the pendulum's swinging hard and fast? And the media is, I guess, for lack of a better word, pissed that Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty? If so, does that help improve your trust in the mainstream media? So let's start off by saying the case of Christopher Watts, I don't believe for 1 second that Christopher Watts killed anybody. That's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. I think he was telling the truth when he said he didn't murder his children, Bella and Cece Watts. And I think that when he told his mother he decided to take responsibility for what happened, that he was pretty much deciding to go ahead and take responsibility for what happened. So for anyone out in YouTube land who thinks that opinion is way out there, well, if you can believe that Stephen Avery is innocent, then I can believe that Christopher Watts never hurt anybody. Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Now on to the Kyle Rittenhouse case. I think the jury got it right. In fact, I'm surprised he was ever charged with any crime given the video evidence that was available following the riots in Wisconsin. I think it's a damn shame that he was ever put through the hell that he was put through after the tragedy occurred. I think, in my opinion, society should have been wrapping our arms around him and helping him heal from the trauma he had just suffered. And instead, he was re-traumatized for, what was it, over a year? Not knowing whether or not he would be spending the rest of his life in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And now let's go ahead and jump right to the case with the Michigan parents. What the hell are they guilty of? Being crappy parents? Is there a law against being crappy parents? Yes, Karen, that's kind of my point with all three cases. Isn't it interesting the role that the mainstream media plays, and as we've seen with the case of Christopher Watts, also the role that social media plays? And, you know, it was already happening with the case of Jodi Arias. It was already happening with the case of Casey Anthony. Even many years ago, I think it was 2010, when that little boy, Kyron Horman, went missing from his grade school, we started seeing the impact of mainstream media and social media on these still open cases, right? When they were still open. M says he was 15, not the legal age to own a gun, so yes, they are culpable, in my opinion. Do you know how many children in Michigan are given guns for Christmas? In fact, I don't know of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who say, hey, I'd like a gun for Christmas. It's usually 12, 13, 14 when kids are saying, I want a gun for Christmas. Now, granted, it was a handgun, which is why the parents kept it locked up, right? The kids are shooting handguns at the range. Kids are learning handgun safety, safe handling techniques at the range. M says, my sons have guns in a safe that they will get as they reach whatever age. Okay, so then what's the difference? You bought guns for your sons? Karen says he took it to school. Yes, he took it to school. Did the parents know he took it to school? Evidently not. But look at the timeline. The school saw the picture. They were concerned because he drew some kind of flaky picture. They were concerned, right? They contacted the parents about the picture. And I think they told the parents that he needed mental health services very soon, as in within so many hours. And then they put the kid back in the classroom? They, meaning the school? The school didn't evidently think he was at risk of committing any such terrible crime. Evidently, or they wouldn't have put him back in the classroom. So the question, I think, begs, why didn't they think he was a terrible risk? If they were so bothered by a picture that he drew that they called the parents in, then why did they send him back to the classroom? Okay, see a lot of comments about whether or not the guns were locked. We don't know whether or not the guns were locked up. But here's the question. Do you really think it needs to be the law that guns be kept locked up? Because I'm here to tell you, if you are a person who believes in being able to use a gun to defend yourself, then your gun, your firearms are not going to be much help if they're locked up. And I guess if they're always locked up, then do you ever go to the range? Do you ever clean them? Right? Do you tell your spouse what the combination is, and does one of the kids maybe overhear you? I don't know. Do they break into the safe? I don't know. I mean, there's a physical reality that if you are gun owners, then you have guns in your house. Cali Girl says if there's a child around, maybe. Well, just my opinion, if there's a child around, then you take that child to the range and you teach them how to safely handle the firearm. And you know what? Maybe I'm weird about this topic. Maybe I'm kind of way out there, an outlier. Because I'm probably older, right? I say that a lot, don't I? I think I'm probably older than most of us here. When I grew up, there were loaded guns everywhere. And we didn't have any of the crap that's going on nowadays. We were expected to know how to handle a firearm safely. We were expected to respect the firearm. We knew how to shoot at an early age. Maybe the problem isn't whether or not a gun is locked up. Maybe the problem is that the guns are locked up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the problem is not that there aren't enough gun safes out there. Maybe the problem really is that there are so many gun safes out there. And what's going on that this kid would have that in him to do that? What's going on there? Is he on meds? Has he been a behavioral problem in the past? If so, should we look a little closer? And I'm not saying in this case specifically, but at that issue specifically, on whether or not teenagers are really getting the help that they need. Why is the mainstream media saturating their broadcasts with stories about this issue? Because they've pretty much proven that when there are these types of headlines, then there are very soon other headlines similar to it with the copycat crimes. So maybe maybe there should be a sort of social responsibility felt by the mainstream media to say, you know what? We're not going to saturate our broadcasts with this issue in order to help protect other kids in the future. M says that picture he drew was something an edgy fifth grader would draw. Let's see if I can find the picture. Okay, let's see here. I'll just Google picture Michigan shooter drew and see if it comes up. Oh, all the headlines are all about the parents getting arrested. Let's see here. Okay, so the teacher saw the drawing on a desk and took a picture of the drawing. It was that disturbing to the teacher. And remember, the teacher's a mandatory reporter, okay? The teacher is a mandatory reporter. So if that disturbing drawing was so disturbing, which, I have no doubt it probably was, then why didn't she immediately call the police? And didn't they have a school liaison officer right on site? Was the police officer involved with deciding whether or not to put the kid back in the classroom? I'm scrolling down. This article does not have that drawing in it. Let's see. I'm going to search again for the drawing. I want to see the drawing. And then, again, all the headlines here are all about the parents, okay? Do you guys really think the parents were on the run? That's what's being said in the mainstream media, that they were on the run. Were they, or were they hiding? I don't know. I'm scrolling down. I don't see that picture. That's interesting that there for a while that picture was all over the place. Now it's not. Oh, well. But you see what I'm saying? The teacher sees the drawing. The teacher says, ooh, that's concerning. They evidently call in the parents because everyone's so concerned. No doubt they had a school counselor, school liaison officer, principal, teachers, whatever. So they had a whole lot of resources available. The parents go ahead and leave, evidently, after the meeting, and the school decides to put the kid back in the classroom without ever checking his backpack. Why was he put back in the classroom? If the school is telling the parents that he needed mental health services, why was he put back in the classroom? So they had a kid who they determined was in immediate need within a couple of days, I guess, and I don't understand that. If somebody's in immediate need of mental health services, then what's the 48-hour thing? That makes no sense. They're in immediate need of mental health services, but you can wait 47 and a half hours, no problem. Yeah. If a kid's in immediate need of mental health services, that means get them help immediately, right? I would think. If a kid is in immediate need of mental health services, then I would think if he's drawing weird pictures, weird enough for the school to take notice, then what is he doing in the classroom? Who decided to send him back to the classroom? Are they being charged with any sort of crime? And don't get me wrong with that last question, because I do not think any of them should be charged with any sort of crime. I guess unless the parents are being expected to take the blame, then doesn't that open the door really to consider who else is culpable? I think it's a very slippery slope if we're going to take a look at this case and say, oh, the parents woulda, shoulda, coulda. Because the school liaison officer woulda, shoulda, coulda too. The principal of the school woulda, shoulda, coulda. The teacher woulda, shoulda, coulda. The school counselor woulda, shoulda, coulda. I guess even the gun salesman woulda, shoulda, coulda. I guess, anybody who sells ammunition woulda, shoulda, coulda. The but for premise. But for that ammunition being available. But for that handgun being purchased. But for the kid going to school that day. But for the teachers, counselors, principals, school liaison officers deciding to send the kid back to the classroom, even though they had concerns, even though the parents were told that he needed help. Does society need to fix blame fast on anyone? Typically when there's a school shooting, society likes to jump to blaming the guns. And then they like to blame the NRA, and then they like to blame law-abiding owners of firearms. That's the typical go-to. Blame the gun. Well, where does it stop? Are they going to start blaming knives? How about blaming spoons? Spoons kill. You know that, right? Spoons kill. So when are they going to start legislating about spoons? It's a slippery slope. I don't think there are any laws against being shitty parents. I mean, there are laws against being negligent parents. There are laws against being abusive parents, but I'm not sure that buying a kid a Christmas gift is negligent or abusive. M says that she feels the Columbine parents were culpable and that Adam Lanza's mother also, but she died. Again, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Did they know what their kid was about to do? And it's interesting to consider how many of these kids are on medication. How many of these kids are showing some pretty weird behavioral patterns? How many of these kids needed some serious help? M says they bought him a gun he couldn't get on his own. Like every other parent in Michigan. Cali Girl says, I think them fleeing didn't help, but did they really flee? Or were they in hiding? I don't know. Were they being threatened? I don't know. When the news broke on the mainstream media, look at what happened with the Brian Laundrie parents and all the psychos who went down and stood on their front lawn. Did that happen with the parents of this kid? If so, maybe they were hiding. M says they made themselves responsible because without them he couldn't get it. See, that just makes no sense to me, M. It was a Christmas gift. So if a kid comes into my house and takes a loaded gun and does something bad with it, does that make me responsible? I don't think so. Karen, hiding and fleeing are not the same. If they were hiding because they were concerned for their personal safety, that's far different than fleeing from the police. I don't know. Did they know that there was an arrest pending? I don't know. But I think there's a deeper issue here. What the heck is going on when teenagers are doing what he did? Was he on medication? Was he in counseling? Did he have any kind of history of bad behavior? Maybe the public schools need to be able to say no to some kids. You know, they can't, right? The door has to be open. Maybe the public schools need to be able to say no. Maybe that's part of the problem, is that they have to accept all children. They have to, right? Well, maybe the public school should have the latitude to say no. Maybe the safety of the other students should be more important than the rights of one student to be able to be exhibiting bad behaviors, but still be allowed in the door. M says, but isn't bad behavior more in parents than schools? Well, bad behavior is bad behavior. If a kid is exhibiting some troubling behavior, then maybe the school should be able to say, we don't want him on the campus. That's the question, Kelly. Why is this happening in the first place? What's going on? I mean, there's something weird going on when you consider, now we don't know yet with this case, but so many of these cases we hear that the kids who did such a terrible thing were taking whatever medications, right? Is anyone investigating the impact maybe that some of those meds have on their behavior? Karen says parents are friends now, not parenting. That's an interesting observation. Is that possibly part of what's happening? Kids want parents who are actually parents? Even then, the tragedy just is mind-boggling. What role does medication play? What role do the TV games play, right? The gaming industry. Have you guys played some of those games? I've tried to play them. I can never keep up with it, or I'm driving the wrong way down the street. But in one game, part of the point system is running over people. So I guess, how does that impact a child's development? That's a good one. Maybe they're taking Thrive. Maybe he was like using a caffeine coated band aid. What's GTAM? I don't know what GTA is. So, what could it be? What's the answer? And remember the old saying, and I absolutely agree with it. Oh, is that what it is? Okay, got it. Yeah, that's the one where you like get points for running down a prostitute. I couldn't believe it. Whenever I try to play any of these, then my kids will take the controller from me and then basically like keep me in the game, and then they let me drive all over creation again. But I pretty much run into buildings and stuff. There's something about that little thingy that's like, I don't know. Plus, I don't get into running people over, you know? It's so weird. But, what's the common denominator with these cases? There's that one, the kid down in, was it Florida? I don't know about you, but I just looked at the photo of him and thought, okay, there's a kid with issues. Adam Lanza was another one. Look at his photo. He had issues. Is that part of the problem? Is that we're trying to pretend that kids don't have issues, maybe? And then they're put on meds? Are we trying to pretend that the meds don't have a negative impact in some cases? Are these kids acting out of rage and anger? If so, what are they so blasted angry about? I cannot keep up at all with Call of Duty. The whole thing of trying to load up stuff when you see stuff, you're supposed to grab it and everything. It's like, too many, I don't know. The game I love is the one where you have the big arena and then you're driving your little cars. That's fun. I like that one. And even then, I'm running the wrong way most of the time. Callie says it's in the eyes. I can see it. Exactly. Look at the photos. When they put Adam Lanza's picture out, it was like, is anyone surprised by this? So how can this be addressed? I guess it's kind of like the whole thing of the last couple of years. You know how frustrating it is to keep getting different stories, to have so many people claiming so many different things, and to have the general public going, what the hell's going on? We want answers. We want the truth. What's happening? Right? But no, instead, unfortunately, it seems to have become political and divisive and confusing. So over the last year and a half, 2 years, we're all going, what the hell? What? You mean my mask doesn't help? What? Just a really quick little story on masks. I told you guys I was vacationing. Well, where I live, I was already bitching about the prices of masks because I noticed the prices of masks have climbed, right? As the stock of masks have declined or has declined. So, you used to be able to get a box of masks for $10. Well, pretty soon it was 15, and I was bitching. 100 masks for $14.99, and I was bitching. Well, then all the news reports are saying that Michigan has, so many cases, right? So not only are the big jugs of water disappearing from the store shelves, not quite to the same degree that the toilet paper disappeared a year and a half, 2 years ago. A year and a half, almost 2 years ago. But then the masks started disappearing. I went to Walmart, no masks. Walgreens, no masks. CVS, no masks. Myers, no masks. No masks. Or they might have like a pack of 3 for too much money, right? I wanted a box of masks for $10. I would pay 15, but what I really wanted was the box of 100 masks for $10, which are no longer available, obviously. So while I was on vacation, I raced into a CVS thinking, hey, while I'm here, where the rate was, I think, 16 out of 1,000, compared to Michigan's rate of 100 and something out of 1,000 cases, okay? So I thought, surely with a rate of only 16 out of 1,000, they'll have masks, right? So I raced into the CVS, I found a box of masks, and I thought, what? $29.99? Are you flipping kidding me? $29.99 for what I thought was 100 masks that I was able to purchase for $10 before the price gouging went up to 15. And, we all know I'm kind of slow on the uptake. It took me a couple of days to realize that box of masks that I bought, which was the same size as the boxes of 100 that I bought, right, before for $10, the box of masks that I bought at CVS for $29.99 plus tax was a box of 50. So I literally got half as many for twice as much. Isn't that called price gouging? Aren't there like some laws against that? Remember after 9/11 when the gas stations all amped up their prices within an hour? And the lines were long at the gas stations? Did any gas stations ever get in trouble for that? I don't think so. So it makes total sense, doesn't it? Create a situation where we can barely keep our small businesses going. Prohibit us from having even outdoor parties, even though the people who are prohibiting us from having outdoor parties are having outdoor parties. Don't allow us to go get our hair done, even though the people who are legislating that we're not able to go get our hair done are going to get their hair done. And then allow the stores to play with the consumer by not providing products, in my opinion, that have a lower profit. I'm telling you, I think that's what they're doing. I think retailers are using the COVID as their excuse for only providing products that offer them the highest possible profit margin. That whole empty shelf routine, I think, is bullshit. I travel a lot. Those semis are rolling down the highway. Supply and demand, you know how that works, right? I think it is absolute bullshit. I think the retailers already know what time of day most people are going to buy what products. They already know how to capture the highest possible profit margin. And when COVID hit, I think they used it as their excuse, not only to strip the consumer of what was once known as customer service, but also to screw the consumer financially. And for that, I would say, as a consumer, each and every one of us has the responsibility to remember. Remember which retailers screwed us during COVID. So there's my lecture about, I don't know, we'll call that my Ralph Nader lecture. Now, what was I saying? I can't remember. About the whole school shooting thing. Well, the media has played a big role in promoting the politics, right? Creating chaos and confusion over the last year and a half, 2 years. The same thing happens when there's a story like the one out of Michigan. The same thing happened with the case of Christopher Watts. How long did it take before the mainstream media was promoting the lie, claiming that Christopher Watts confessed to killing his wife and children? You know, we want the parents to be held accountable for the bad acts of the teenager. What about the media being held accountable for the role they play? What impact did the media's lies have on the case of Christopher Watts? What impact did the media's lies have on how many other cases? What impact does the media have on the issue of school shootings? That is so true. We see the empty shelves and we're getting screwed on the price. It is so true. It is absolutely true. And let me tell you something. Have you ever done the pickup thing where you can like click it on your phone, place your order, and then you can pick up your stuff, right? The whole idea is when there's a high rate of cases that it's probably better not to go in the store to get coughed on, since it appears that nobody knows what social distancing means, right? Well, I did the pickup thing. Myers actually is the store. They offer this thing where you can just click on your phone, you place your order, and then you schedule your time to pick up your order. And then when it's time to go pick up your order, then you go and you know, they have a special spot. It's even far away from the other people parking. Like, it's totally to give you this sense of like, ooh, wow, I'm being proactive here on distancing, right? On social distancing. So I finally figured out how to use the GD phone to hook up with that whole pick up your order crap. And I'm telling you, it took me a while. And it's a good thing I've learned now how to talk on the phone and how to play on the phone too at the same time, because the only way I could actually do it was with help by others who I called for help. So I get on the friggin' thingy where you click on what you want, And isn't it interesting that when you go to place your order, like if you click on their site, you can easily find their sales things and you can scroll through and go, oh, yeah, I want one of those and one of those, right? But when you go to place your order, it's maybe it's just me, maybe it's just user error, could be. If so, sorry, Myers, but I don't think it is. Because when I went to place my order, I didn't see any of the sale prices. I had to scroll through hundreds of items, and it was really hard to see what was on sale. So I'm thinking, wait a minute. Are these computer geniuses setting this baby up so that the online shopper isn't, seeing the virtual, ooh, wow, this is on sale tag? You see what I'm saying? So I finally placed my order. And I'm not kidding you when I say it took me 3 friggin' days before I was ready to hit submit. Okay. And I was running out of stuff. Like I needed to get this stupid order placed. And I had already invested so much time and energy that I just thought, that's it. I gotta, crack this nut, right? I finally placed the order. It was more than I wanted to do, but I was a little bit too distraught by trying to deal with a stupid app to go through and get it exactly right. Okay. So I thought, yeah, whatever. Okay. Submit. Order placed. Thank God. Then it came to the screen of picking what day and time I wanted to pick up my order. So I picked what day and time. I think it was even the same day or maybe the next day, but it was like between 4 and 5 p.m. So I picked it and then I checked out. And then I got a message saying that day and time was no longer available. I mean, come on, right? By this time, I had forgotten what I had even ordered, quite frankly. So then I picked another time. And that time was no longer available. Evidently, I was taking too long to decide what day and time. I don't know. So I picked another time and it worked. The third time was a charm. It worked. It said, thank you, thank you. And the irony with that is that I was set to go there at that time. I think they gave me like a 1-hour window. But what they did is they sent me a friggin' text message that I didn't know they sent. I had no clue they sent it. I don't check my phone all the time to see if I get a text message. And they actually had it ready 2 hours earlier. Well, guess what? Genius, we're talking about food. I don't want you to have my order ready 2 hours before you tell me it's ready or before you tell me I can pick it up. Well, actually, they told me I could pick it up early, but I didn't know they told me. So my crap must have sat in the store somewhere, in a corner somewhere, social distancing from the other crap, because I didn't know that I could go there at that time because that wasn't the time on the stupid little app thing on my phone. Ugh. So I pull in. I actually did see it on my way because when I hopped in the car, then my phone was doing the beep, beep, because I live out in the boonies. So then when I drive a certain distance and get a good signal, then I can hear my phone going bloop, bloop, kind of. And I look and I see the text that my order was ready. Like it was probably like an hour and a half earlier because I was leaving early so I could be there for sure on time. So I pull in, I go to the little spot. I was so proud of myself, like this is the new normal, right? And I'm adapting, change, right? Things change and we need to be able to change with them, right? So I pull in, I act like I know what I'm doing. And I look at the sign and it has a phone number on it. So I called it and it said, the lady at the other end of the line said, she had a tone to her voice too. She had a tone. Like I was stupid. Like she kind of knew that it was my first time. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being paranoid about that. But she did have kind of an edge to her tone that was kind of like, duh, like, why are you asking? Without saying it. Oh, something I didn't mention. Myers offered a $15 coupon for any order of $75 or more. Okay? $15 off if you picked it up. It's like an introductory offer to their wonderful pickup service. Okay? And yeah, I mean, I'm not Dutch, but I did give birth to 3 Dutch babies. So by osmosis, right? I like to save a buck. If I can save $15 off of a food order of $75 or more, hallelujah. So when I was doing my order, I was sure that it was over $75. That's just a little bit of the story that matters a little bit later on. I pull in, I call the phone number. The woman on the other end of the line was a little bit like, I don't know how to describe it, but her tone was kind of like, I don't know. You ever deal with a clerk who maybe just doesn't like her job or something? I don't know. But there was kind of like a you dipshit tone to her voice. Because I called and I said, hi, because I'm so freaking friendly, right? And I said, hi, this is my first time doing a pickup order. I just want to check, what do I do? So I don't know, maybe that's why she treated me like I was a dipshit. I don't know. So basically I was told, stay in your car. We'll bring your food out. Or we'll bring your order out. They didn't say food. So I sat there and I looked to my right and there was a big truck with a guy sitting in the truck. I thought, you know what? I bet you men really like this whole pick up your order routine. I bet they like it a lot. Instead of the wife going like, I need you to pick up this, 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 and this, they can just say, yeah, I'll pull in and pick it up. And that kind of puts it on the wife's shoulders then, right? With doing the order thing. So I was sitting there thinking that for a little bit. And he was kind of like, you could tell he was like a bodybuilder because he couldn't sit in his truck. And I thought, he's probably not doing the pickup order thing about anything to do with COVID. He's probably doing it like convenience all the way, right? He was hopping out of his truck and he was, how people do that neck thing where they put their thumb on their chin and they go, and they like to crunch their neck. He was doing that neck thing and he was kind of like stretching his legs and stuff. And I just thought, yeah, this guy is antsy. Like he doesn't like sitting still, but he was fun to watch. And then I saw a lady to my left. And I also noticed how next time you go in a parking lot, think about this. Our cars are social distancing too. Like we didn't line up like we normally would before COVID, but we all were kind of staggered. Like we had kind of like that social, like our cars just kind of inherently knew to social distance. But anyway, so I see the lady to my left and I just thought, that's interesting. Like she must really be good with computers, with how to work her phone. Because man, she was actually getting waited on. They were bringing out her crap. I don't know how they fit all that crap in her car. I have no clue. But she was right outside with them. Like they were face to face, like really close. And I thought, so she's not really doing it for the social distancing thing either, right? It's more of a convenience thing, right? Which again, I thought, wow, she must be really good with working that friggin' app. I actually thought of asking her for some advice just to, see if there was an easier way than what I had gone through trying to get my order placed. So finally, this gal comes out with my cart, okay, with my stuff. Well, it wasn't a cart. She had one of these like rolling things like you see in a hotel, like the valets have, to put your suitcases on. She brings it out, and there's my pile of crap. And I rolled down my window. She wasn't wearing a mask. I was. I've learned to have a mask ready, like for situations like that. And you would think that me wearing a mask may have given her a flippin' hint, but no. She leaned into my car with her face and said, we had to substitute. Well, you know, substitute has two S's, okay? Don't lean into my car and spit, please. I didn't say it that way. I said, excuse me? Because that's pretty much my go-to. Yes, Karen, you're exactly right. Don't roll down the window. Exactly. But I mean, she was coming toward me. I have this little button in my car. I'm trying to click and make your comment go up there. There it is. I have this little button right inside my car to open my trunk, right? And the trunk was cleared up because, you know, I mean, I had a 3-day prep time for this, trying to figure out that stupid app. So as she's coming toward me, it was obvious she wanted to say something, right? I mean, the trunk was open. Hello. And she leaned right in. I'm talking like right here, right here. And I said, excuse me? And I said something like, because she didn't get it. She didn't leave. Like her face was still in my car. And I said, would you please step back? Or something like that. Like, yes, Karen, you're exactly right. And I know that now. I guess I just kind of was dreamy enough, you know, in my delusion of thinking that maybe she would have caught a clue. I don't know. I mean, even before COVID, don't put your face in my car and say the word substitute, you know, or sneaky snake or anything else with a bunch of S's in it. So she backed up. Well, she actually stopped a minute, like, really? She didn't immediately remove her face from my car. And then she figured I meant it, and she backed up. And then she acted all, like, pissy because she said, well, I just wanted to tell you, you know, that you, like, really? And here's the punchline about this whole substitute thing. And actually, it wasn't just the S's, because I think the T brought some spit, too. There's a thing on the Myers app that you can choose. They give you the choice. Do you want any substitutions? And I said no. I very clearly remember clicking no substitutes. Do not substitute. Basically, that means, Myers, if you're listening, that if you don't have what I'm ordering, I don't want it. Don't try to fill in some other shit, because I already think that retailers are playing a game with us and trying to basically force us to purchase crap that they're making the most money on. And I'll tell you why I think that too, because I bought a vitamin for years that is no longer available. And every clerk I've ever asked about it says, well, you know, because of COVID. Well, no. Why because of COVID? I think the why is that COVID gives the retailers a really good excuse to pretend that they can't get their hands on, you know, certain products. So anyway, back to the pickup. Well, she went ahead and substituted. She substituted. And you know what? They were out of almost everything on the order. I ordered a bunch of water, like different kinds of water, like the lemon water and stuff like that. They didn't have shit. They didn't have shit. So guess what? My order came to just under $75. So guess what that did to my $15 discount? Yeah, it disappeared. And you know, if you're going to substitute something, like, please do not substitute shrimp that's on sale with frozen salmon chunks. Please don't do it. I spent so much money for that little pile of crap, not even getting my little discount, right? So what do? I get this thing, tell us how your experience was. It didn't happen right away. I was almost going to call, and just say, this is bullshit, people. But I was happy to see that, that survey thing or whatever. Tell us what you thought. And I told them what I thought. Yes, Andy, salmon. Now, we all know I am a big fan of salmon, right? I have salmon every week and many times twice a week, most of the time twice a week. So, like, you might be surprised if Miss Mensa's bitching about getting salmon, right? But here's the thing. I buy good salmon. I don't buy frozen crap. I mean, I buy good salmon. I buy it when it's on sale. I buy it freshly cut. I buy the good stuff. I don't buy the frozen crap. I especially don't buy the overpriced frozen crap that I would have never purchased had I been tooling around the store with a cart, okay? So I went ahead and I told them what I thought about their little pickup service. And you know what they did in response? They sent me a $5 coupon with the audacity to think that I was going to do their little pickup service again. What, after that experience? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm sorry. If you have clerks who don't even know not to put their faces in my car and spit, and I'm not saying she purposely spit or intentionally spit and whatever, right? But come on. If the whole reason for this whole pickup routine is supposedly because of all the chaos and confusion about all these, scary variants that are flying around us, especially in Michigan, come on, right? Because Michigan is the poster boy for how terrible it is. Then train your clerks to not stick their faces right in the face of a customer. And you know what? If your clerks don't want to wear a mask, that's fine, right? They don't have to wear a mask when they're on their own time. But if you are employing them to bring food to my car, then yeah, they should be wearing a mask. And when a customer brings it to their attention that they don't want them to have their heads in their cars, right? Their faces right in their face, maybe they should be trained, even if they don't understand why, or even if they don't agree, or even if they're offended, or even if whatever. Maybe they should be trained to at least act like they give a shit. I'm just saying. It was a terrible experience, start to finish. And I feel like I got screwed financially on that food. M says maybe they're fully vaxxed. Well, in the area that I live, most people are not. Most people are not. Just my opinion by what I hear and see. In the area that I live in, most people do not believe in wearing masks, and that includes all of the tourists from New York and California and Florida and everywhere else who come here thinking, oh, I'm on vacation. To hell with anybody else's health or concerns. There is a very casual, and I would say in some cases careless, attitude toward other people's health with what I've seen going on. But we're a tourist town. So, of course, I don't think, the people who are raking in money here really want to insist on any basic consideration for other people. It's party time here. It's party time. So that's my story of doing a pickup order. That's my story of doing a pickup order. Like, I don't think so. I think I stand a better chance of getting the food that I want to get for a price closer to what I want to pay. Not quite what I want to pay, since I've seen such a ridiculous spike in prices in the last year and a half. But I stand a far better chance to stick with a local little grocery store that, if you pay close attention, their prices are no higher than these big mega stores or superstores or whatever they're called. They're no higher. You just have to buy on sale. You just have to be kind of careful because some of their stuff is priced a little higher. But man, the shopping experience is so much better. So much better. So, that chaos and confusion that I'm talking about, and even the idea that I would sit here and ramble on and on about a pickup order, right? It's what I'm talking about with these headlines, the mainstream media, the school shooting, the parents, the stories that we're hearing. That other channel creator who, overall, I do appreciate his content. I appreciate the way he explains the law to his subs. But he's sitting there saying that the mom was texting, don't do it, to the kid at the school. I don't think she was texting that. I don't think she was. I think she was texting something about not getting caught with his pictures. But now he's translated it to say that the mother was saying, don't do it, don't do it. Okay. I mean, I think the bar is a little bit lower for a YouTube channel to have all the facts or whatever, because we're just kind of talking about our opinions and stuff. But did he see that in an article from mainstream media? How many stories are out there? How will this case play out? And then think about the case out of Georgia. How did that case play out? And think about the case out of Wisconsin, the Rittenhouse case. Think about the case of Christopher Watts. What impact does the media have on true crime, on these true crime cases? I love you guys. Now you're talking about salmon. Staples? Karen, you buy salmon from Staples? I think that the impact is the word, really. The whole idea that, well, when the mainstream media can say that Christopher Watts admitted, he confessed to killing his wife when he didn't, right? And they're not held accountable. When they can say that Kyle Rittenhouse was a, terrible bad guy who, whatever, that false narrative that they ran with for over a year on the Kyle Rittenhouse case is absolutely disgusting. And I hope he sues everybody. I hope he absolutely sues anyone and everybody. Anybody and everybody. Because just imagine if he had been found guilty. Just imagine how the mainstream media would have painted his story for years to come. So then the question begs, what can we do? And I think individually we can do very little, right? But I think one thing we can do is expect facts, expect the truth, expect information, expect transparency. And then when we do see and hear bullshit, that we have the guts to say, this is bullshit, right? And that, my friends, is where I think the trouble or the problem or the changes are occurring, is because When I was younger, a lot younger, I have a birthday coming up. Not right away, but it's looming on the horizon, right? And I'm thinking, man, I'm old. Because you know how you can have a birthday and you're not really, especially if you're still in your 50s, you can pretty much figure, you can buy into the whole bullshit about how, the 50s are the new 40s or the however that goes. And that's fine. But when you are over on the other side of 60, then your birthdays are kind of like, whoa, I'm really, and time goes faster too. I hate to tell you, it does. The older you get, the faster it goes. And I know why too, but that's a whole nother story. Well, I'll tell it to you really quick, but help me remember what I was talking about before. The older you get, the more time there is. So look at it as like a mathematical equation or, I don't know, formula or whatever. If you're 5 years old, then 1 year of your life goes like slowly. It's 1/5 of your life. But if you're 60, then 1 year of your life is just like a small portion of your life, which is why it seems that it's going faster. That's that explanation. Now, what was I saying before? The impact of what I would refer to as the careless reporting of these cases and these political issues and these issues, period. When I was younger, we spoke up. We had a Ralph Nader. His name was actually Ralph Nader, who was a consumer advocate. We spoke up. When politicians did nasty things, we said so. We had reporters who were actually reporters. They weren't just reading teleprompters. We had reporters who were actually investigative reporters who wanted to dig the dirt and find out what really happened. Okay? So we had an attitude as a society that we wanted and we expected to know the truth, that we wanted and we expected to be treated with respect, right, as a consumer, whether it was as a consumer of the news or as a consumer of Myers, okay? And when we saw bullshit, we said so. There was a thing back in the day called boycotting, and it worked. It worked. My first house, when the weather was bad, the phones would go down. Well, come to find out, Ma Bell hadn't updated the system in a long time. And I think there was a lot of new construction in the area, and I think that Ma Bell was saving their pennies, right? So when a few of us got a little bit pissed because we wanted to be able to have a phone, regardless of the weather, then we got together, talked about it, and said, we're going to complain. And we started complaining, and we complained really well. And Ma Bell updated the system. Consumers had a voice back then. When we built the new house, and I think by that time was AT&T instead of Ma Bell, when AT&T wanted my social security number, when I called to set up the phone at the new house, it's called a landline for you younger ones, they said they needed, my social security number. I said, what do you need my social security number for? You're not my employer. And they're like, oh, well, we require it now, And I said, well, you're not getting it. And they said, well, we have to have it. We can't set up your new phone, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, then I guess we don't set up the new phone. And as soon as I said no, And as soon as I guess they realized I meant no, then they didn't need my social security number and they set up our new phone. But how many people didn't say no? You know, in my generation, we said no. But then maybe 10 years later, people stopped saying no. And now, as you know, everybody has your social security number. Back in the day, there was something called the swine flu. And people got scared because it was deadly. And so people were lining up in the rain, in the cold and the wind and the rain. I remember seeing one line at the VFW hall to get vaccinated. And then people started getting sick from the vaccines. And the general public said, this is bullshit. The general public, including my grandma, who was an RN, said, this is wrong. And they stood up and they said no. And then we didn't hear anything more about the swine flu. Have you noticed that customer service has disappeared? It's disappeared. Just like heart attacks and cancer, just like the regular flu, just like true job opportunities, just like a person's property rights, just like your freedom to travel without having to have a Q-tip stuck up your nose. Kind of daunting, isn't it? The next time you're at the drugstore, or the next time you're at one of those superstores with a drugstore with a pharmacy, ask them why they don't have the Centrum chewables. And I'll bet you that they'll tell you it's because of COVID. When you take a look at the prices and you see a 50% spike on any one product, ask the store. You might have to talk to the manager on that one. Ask the store why. Why did the prices jump? And I bet you 9 chances out of 10, they're going to tell you it's because of COVID. And if you push it a little bit and want to know more, they might have you call corporate. And when you call corporate, if they answer the phone, because you'll probably go into some sort of a, answering whatever message, outgoing message, and it's going to say, if you would like information about COVID, blah, 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 right? Why is that it seems like everywhere you call nowadays, if you want information about COVID, no, I don't want information about COVID if I'm calling a friggin' retailer. How much money are these yahoos making off of COVID? How much money are they making off of doing the vax? How much money are the hospitals making every time they diagnose somebody with COVID? How much money are the doctors or who are we kidding, the monopolies, the medical monopolies? How much money are they making when they can claim they have over 100 people in the hospital with COVID? How much money are the nursing homes making when they have patients dying from COVID? There you go, Em. Never let a good crisis go to waste. And who said those famous words? Was that a Clinton thing? I'm just guessing. It wasn't Reagan, was it? Who said that? It seems like it was quite a while ago. I don't know. Was it pre-Clinton? Back in the day, consumers, thanks to Ralph Nader, maybe, I don't know, consumers had a voice. And back in the day, the general public, maybe thanks to Walter Cronkite, I don't know, had a voice. What has happened to our voice in the last year and a half when we cannot even expect that our retailers are going to have water on the shelf? Toilet paper? Masks? Fair pricing? Clerks? How about this one? Have you been in a superstore lately? How many cashiers were ready to tally up your order? Well, I was in a different city today and I raced into a Walmart and there were two. Two. You know how many lanes they have? There were two cashiers. Two. They expect us to use the self-checkout. Where did our voice go? Where did our collective voice go? Think about how we've been treated trying to just discuss the case of Christopher Watts. Think about the Rittenhouse case. Why didn't the public say bullshit day one? M says, my son's a cashier. It's hard work. Yes, it is hard work. Let me tell you something. A certain store, which I may or may not have already said the store name in this live chat, a certain retailer used to pay their cashiers $18 an hour. This is a little tidbit for you youngins. They used to pay their cashiers $18 an hour back in the day when a lot of people were making $7, $8, $9 an hour. Okay? They would start their cashiers at $12 an hour. And they would quickly move on up to $14, $15, $16, $17, $18 an hour. And benefits, full medical benefits too. Employers used to be embarrassed to not have a good benefit package. And back in the day, benefit packages were worth having. That same retailer decided to basically screw their employees, but in doing so, they screwed their customers. because it's all about the money, right? And the morale of that company, of the employees, went downhill fast because those cashiers are not making anything close to 18 bucks an hour. And they're not getting any benefits either. Well, maybe a few of them still are, but overall, they're getting screwed. The last time I was at a certain store, which I may or may not have already mentioned that store name, and I was at one of those stupid self checkouts because that store is famous for never having cashiers available. I don't know if you guys do this, but I always struggle to get those stupid little bags open too. Come on. Like, either teach us the trick to getting those bags open or have open bags waiting for us or something, or go back to paper. I don't know. But anyway, I plugged in my card and it didn't work. And I plugged it in again and it didn't work. And you do it 3 times and then it tells you to swipe it. So I did it the 3rd time and I swiped it and it didn't work. It said chip detected, which is another thing. I never had any trouble with any card until COVID came along. And guess what? Clerks are blaming that on COVID. Like, everything goes to being because of COVID, I guess. I don't know. Well, they couldn't. The gal who, stares at us while we do our own self-checkout thing, she couldn't get it to work either. And she was reaming that card so hard. I'm thinking, don't break my card, please. And then I said, well, sometimes it works if I put it in backwards 3 times. I don't know why. And she looked at me like I was nuts, which, it's true. It does work sometimes, not always. If you put it in backwards 3 times, then it'll swipe it, whatever. So then she had to do something about transferring my thing up to the customer service so the customer service lady could make my card work. Okay. Well, she was doing whatever she was doing on the computer. She was telling me how much she hated her job. She was telling me how terrible the company was. She was telling me how miserable she was. She was literally venting to a customer. So here's just, I guess, the moral of that story is, if you're going to be a mega store and you're going to screw your employees, you're screwing your customers too. And just a little tag on, if you're going to offer the pickup service, don't substitute when the customer says don't substitute. And tell your clerks to wear masks. Karen, that's a good idea. That is a good idea. I've noticed it happens sometimes, like for a week, and then it'll be fine for like 3 months, and then it'll happen again. But no kidding, clerks are blaming it on COVID. Like, I'm so tired of hearing everyone blame everything on COVID. But yeah, do that little experiment, you guys. The next time you're in a mega store, pharmacy, or the next time you go into a pharmacy, look for the Centrum chewables and then ask the clerk why they no longer have Centrum chewables. And they'll tell you it's because of COVID. And I'll tell you what I think. I think it's because the Centrum chewables probably offered the most bang for your buck. And they probably also had the lowest profit margin for the retailer. That's what I think. I think that the retailers have taken a good look at their profit margins. And I think that those are the products that are on the shelves, are the products which are offering the retailers the highest profit margin. To hell with the consumer. Take from the little guy. Tell them they can't go to work. Raise the gas prices. I told you guys I was traveling. Why is it that in West Virginia, the gas prices were 40 cents cheaper than in Ohio? Why is that? Why is it that in Maryland and Delaware and Pennsylvania and all the way through, why is it that from one gas station to the next, there can be a 30 cents a gallon difference? Why? Why is it that when I buy groceries in one state, I spend almost $300, and when I buy pretty much the same stuff in another state, the grocery bill is $172? Why? Want to talk about housing? Have you seen some of the prices lately in the housing market? Are we creating another housing bubble? Just like back in 2008? That didn't happen in a vacuum. That took about 6 or 8 years to create. Are we making the same mistake twice? Are we ignoring history? Do we even know history anymore? Do any of us really know about whether or not the measles vaccine put an end to the measles? Did the smallpox vaccine put an end to smallpox? Have we been told the truth? Are we too busy to even notice? Have we already been silenced? Collectively speaking, as a society, have we already been silenced? Do we have a voice? What about the smart meters on your house? Did they ask for your permission to put a smart meter on your house? What if you say you don't want a smart meter on your house? We had a lady arrested for putting a different meter on her house. Seriously, she was arrested. If you call the electric company and say, I want that sucker removed immediately, they'll remove it, but there's I think it was an $80 fee. And when you have 2 meters, it's per meter to remove it. Something that they put on that you didn't want in the first place. And when you ask the question in your friendly voice, when people call you and say that they want the meter removed, what is the reason given most times? And the nice lady at the electric company confided in me that it's usually because of medical conditions. It's usually for medical reasons. So why then is the consumer forced to pay money to have the meter removed? And then why is the consumer charged more per month for not having the smart meter? And I'll ask the question again, does the consumer have a voice in the matter? Evidently not. And you know what? If you're going to complain, who are you going to complain to? You're going to call and they're going to say, oh, are you calling about COVID? On their pre-recorded message, right? If you're calling about COVID concerns, why the hell would I be calling about COVID concerns, right? If I'm calling about COVID concerns, I'd be calling my doctor. I wouldn't be calling any of the retailers or service companies that are evidently cashing in on COVID too. So what's really going on? What's really happening? Why is this generation of people so willing to not question the mainstream media? Why are people so willing to not question the retailers? There's a gas station based in Ohio. They own hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of gas stations. They've been buying up gas stations in northern Michigan lately. And when they first bought one of the gas stations in town, they ran out of cups because they wanted them to use up all the old cups, for the coffee. They ran out of cups. And they evidently had some cups ordered with their name on it, the new owner's name on it. But they wanted them to use up the old cups first, which they did. And then there was a lapse in time between when they got, the old ones used up and the new ones delivered. So they put out these crappy styrofoam cups and said, yeah, this is what you can use. So this is like the local consumer's introduction to this mega gas station company, okay? Who promotes themselves as being a family-owned business, and they really care. So they put these crappy styrofoam cups there for people to have their coffee in, and they were crappy. And I thought to myself, because you know how I'm kind of like a little mini philosopher, right? I mean, we can pretty much analyze anything here, can't we? I thought to myself, ooh, this company is telling me right now, telling all of us right now what they're made of. And then when their cups came in with their name on it, I wasn't at all surprised when I realized that when you hold that cup of coffee, you're going to burn your hand. Like it's going to be too hot for you to hold. Because if someone is so cheap, if a company is so flipping cheap and uncaring about the customer that they're going to throw a bunch of crappy styrofoam cups there for them to use, then obviously they're going to go with the crappiest cups they can order. Because remember, follow the money. Okay? So take it a step further. I'm the customer who doesn't like to have my coffee in a styrofoam cup for obvious reasons. I'm also a customer who doesn't like to burn my hand on a cup of coffee that's, by the way, overpriced. Where is the customer's voice? Exactly. Karen says go somewhere else. And then when you do go somewhere else, and then 3 months later you find out that same company out of Ohio is buying that place too. It's like, wow. With these mega businesses, I mean, I'm not even sure of the details, but I've heard people say that most food products, most of those companies are actually owned by just like five main. It's the same is true, I think, as far as the news media, that there are just a handful of companies, right? M says Starbucks has paper straws now. Are you kidding me? I actually don't go to Starbucks anymore. I used to. I used to be a Starbucks regular, but not anymore. But where is the customer's voice? Where is it? I think the consumer still had a voice in the 60s, definitely. Still had a voice in the 70s, no doubt about it. Still had a voice in the 80s. And I think that's why people loved Reagan, because I think that the regular person felt that our voices mattered, that our voices were being heard. Okay. In the 90s, I think stuff started kind of going to hell in a handbasket. But I think people held on, right? In the early 2000s, I think we started losing our voice. We started losing our collective voice. Maybe it happened after 9/11. I used to fly a lot. And I remember one time flying through that airport, and being tied up for so long because I was, deemed some sort of a security risk, that I almost missed my flight. In fact, I did almost risk my flight because they gave my seat to somebody else while I was stuck in security with 5 different security officers scrutinizing me and my luggage. That was right after 9/11. And I made the error, evidently, I didn't know it was a big crime at the time. I made the mistake of paying cash for a ticket. We used to do that. We used to use cash. I paid cash for a same-day ticket. I had a good reason to do it, but I didn't know as an American that I needed to have a good reason to do it. So I paid cash for a same-day flight. And evidently that was enough. That's all it took. According to the security officer who told me that's why I was being so heavily scrutinized at the time, that's all it took was for me to pay cash for a same-day flight to be put on some sort of a list that made it practically impossible to make it through the airport, to make it through security on time to catch my flight. And here's the clincher on that little ditty. The 5th security officer, I don't know if they were called home, whatever they're called, It doesn't even matter. Homeland Security. It doesn't even matter. The 5th security officer, 5th, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 4 were male. The 5th one was a female. She comes walking toward me. They called her in. She comes walking toward me, and as she's walking toward me, she's putting on these blue gloves, plastic gloves. And I thought, oh, this is going to get dicey. And I said, honey, you're not touching me. And she said, no, I'm not. She was just brought in to go through my luggage that they had already gone through. 4 male security officers had already gone through everything. And I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, but they had these big round, they look just like tucks. After you have a baby, sometimes if you have an episiotomy, they'll have you do those tucks, right? This is what their security officers look like they're using, are tucks. and they swipe down your stuff, and then they put it under some kind of a thingy to see if it lights up or something. This entire time I'm sitting there watching the clock going, I'm going to miss my flight. Can you call ahead to the gate? I cannot miss this flight. It is very important. And they dinged around and dinged around and dinged around. And then finally, the female security officer comes walking up. She's putting her gloves on. She goes through my stuff, and she found that I had a nail polish kit, a manicure kit. It was like a French nail manicure kit. And she went, oh my God. And I said, what? She said, you're not allowed to have nail polish. You're not allowed to have nail polish. And I said, what do you mean I'm not allowed to have nail polish? And she said, it's one of the forbidden whatevers. The tragedy of this little story is that 4 male security guards who heavily scrutinized me and my luggage missed the forbidden items. Totally missed them. With all their fancy equipment, 4 male security guards. So the 5th one, the female, found them, told me they weren't allowed. I said, throw them away. I'll get more when I get there. And she said, I can't. I can't just throw them away. She said, if I take them, I'll have to write up a report and you will miss your flight. She said, so I'm not going to take them, but don't do it again. Do you see how crazy this is? So 9/11 happened, and within mere hours, we were stripped of our rights. What was it called? The Patriot Act? And then, a few years later, I'm flying, and I made the big mistake of paying cash for a same-day flight. It didn't matter that I had a long history of flying. It didn't matter that I am as boring as it gets. Like, I am as not I am the lowest risk probably person ever, I don't know. You've heard the stories about how the grandma had to have her knitting needles taken away because they weren't allowed on the flight. I'm probably right up there with Granny and her knitting needles. I mean, I don't know about you, but that story, those types of stories make me angry. Because grandma should be able to knit on the plane. It's that simple. I don't care about any list. Grandma should be able to knit on a plane. But look at this, how this worked out. 4 security guards who have been trained, right? Because that's all about protecting society, right? 4 male security guards missed forbidden items. The French nail manicure kit. The 5th one found them. These dangerous bottles of nail polish, right? Oh, so dangerous. And remember, I paid cash for that ticket, so that pretty much probably makes that nail polish even more suspect, right? Because I was a cash paying customer for a same-day flight. Ho, ho, ho. And then, when she heard about why I was flying fast, She didn't want to hold me up any longer. She didn't want me to miss my flight. So instead of removing the dangerous nail polish, she put them right back in my suitcase and explained to me that if she removes them, then I'd miss my flight because she'd have to write a report. You see what I'm saying? You see a few problems with this? Then I get to the gate. I'm telling you guys, if you're listening to me tonight, you must have a very boring life because my stories are so boring. So then I get to the gate. It was packed with people because at the next gate, they had just canceled that flight. I don't know why. Probably the plane needed some repairs done or something. I don't know. So all the people from the other gate were headed over to the gate that I was supposed to be at. I get to the gate. So the people behind the counter already had problems because they already had like twice as many people wanting to get on one plane. Okay. Well, I had a ticket, and back then we had actual tickets. I had a ticket. I'm racing. I'm getting there in time to fly onto the plane. And I can't tell you why, because I don't talk about stuff like that because of all the scumbag attackers and stuff. But suffice it to say, it was a very important reason. It was a very happy, joyful, important reason. So I'm doing the OJ through the airport. And back then I was like fit and thin. So, I was doing a good OJ race to the gate. And I actually loved that fifth security guard because she could have written a stupid report and, caused me to miss the flight. At the same time, I don't know why she didn't throw away the dangerous contraband, right? Anyway, I'm racing to the gate. I get to the gate. The woman behind the counter said, "You're late." And evidently they even paged my name. Are you kidding me? Like they think I heard them? I was in security getting, my luggage swiped. Swiped literally with the tux pads, okay? I didn't hear them saying my name. In fact, while I was in security with those, beefy looking tough guys, I kept saying, I repeatedly said, "Please call the gate. Please call the gate." Evidently, nobody did, which I'm sure they didn't because they were too busy being tough guy, trying to find something and completely overlooking the dangerous nail polish. So the woman looks at me at the gate and she said she gave my seat away. She gave my seat away. And I cried. I mean, I didn't sob. I didn't break down and cry like uncontrollably or anything. But when she said she gave my seat away, I had tears start. Well, I said to her, "No, this is my seat. I'm here. There's still time." And then she wanted to stand there and argue because, again, she said that she had paged me. They had paged me. I don't know how many times. And I personally don't think they did page me because I think I probably would have heard it. I probably would have noticed. I think she was doing the defensive thing, right? And I stood there and I had tears because it was very important for me to get on that plane and to get to where I was going in that time frame. And I said, "You can't. You can't give away my seat because if you do, then I will miss the birth of my first grandbaby." Well, this really hot guy from Germany named Marcus was taken aback by my situation. And he climbed through the crowd and he held out his ticket. And he said to the lady behind the counter, "Give her my seat." The lady behind the counter said, "I can't do that. It's evidently against the policy or something." To which the crowd responded, "Yes, you can." That crowd had a voice. And so did Marcus from Germany, who was so hot. I mean, even his name, right? Marcus, and his accent. Oh my gosh. He was willing to inconvenience his own life so that I could fly out in time to welcome new life. And the woman behind the counter said no. And the crowd, which had quieted down a little bit with the crying woman and the hot guy from Germany right up front and center, the crowd got vocal and started basically cheering for Marcus. And the woman who insisted that it was against policy, that she wasn't allowed to do it, even though she just, she didn't mind handing off my ticket to someone else, right? She evidently was well versed on how to hand off tickets, even though she stood there saying she couldn't do it. The crowd spoke up. And so did I, and so did Marcus, the hot guy from Germany. And she went ahead and switched tickets. To which the crowd responded with some applause. Well, they pretty much pushed me through the door and onto the plane. And yeah, I made it in time. I made it. Yes. If I would have missed that flight, it would have been life-changing. And that lady behind the counter evidently was trained back in the day when customer service still mattered and where common sense still prevailed. Which brings us all back to the same thing. Where did our voice go? Do we need to become consumer advocates? Do we need to become Ralph Naders? Do we need to become politically involved? Do we need to become proactive about digging in and investigating ourselves because we can't seem to trust what we're being told? Do we need to become more vocal? Or is the problem deeper than that? Because I'll tell you something, when that whole thing started a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, the concern over what we were being told, of course, was very disturbing. It was very disturbing what we've seen going on in the last year and a half, 2 years. But let me tell you what scares me the most is how quickly young people did exactly as they were told. In the very beginning, people were told to wear masks. They wore masks. Nobody questioned which masks they should be wearing. How effective are the masks? Are there any risks to wearing the masks? Nobody questioned it. In the very beginning, they were told to wear a mask. They wore a mask. That's what scares me the most. Not just the mask issue or whatever. I'm talking the fact that so many people immediately believed what they were told without question And they did as they were told without question. When you have a company of landscapers, when you have a landscaping company being told that they're not allowed to work, what? And they didn't. Yet you have a hairdresser claiming that certain politicians are having them go into the hair salon to get face to face, like probably as close as the Myers clerk was when she put her head in my car to tell me they substituted a bunch of crap. So if it's okay for these politicians to snap their fingers and have their hairdressers go in on, I guess, at the politician's convenience, hopping on their Lear jet because they care about climate change to go get their hair done in a little hair studio where they think nobody will find out about it. What? Chaos and confusion. Changing stories. Rules and regs and laws and mandates. Who do you trust? And you look around and think, wow, am I the only person questioning the validity of some of these claims? Where did common sense go? Where did basic logic and reason go? If it's too dangerous for a hairstylist to go to work every day, or for the public to go to the hair salon, if it's too dangerous, then why is it that certain governors and certain senators can, and certain congresswomen? Why is it that it isn't too dangerous for them? If it's too dangerous for us to have parties with more than fill in the blank number of people, 6 people, 8 people, 10 people, whatever it was, then why is it that a certain governor was able to have a big party with over 30 people? If the masks don't work, then why is anybody wearing them? If the masks do work, then why aren't we being told which ones work? Or what they need to be made of in order to work? Or, I guess, why isn't anybody worrying about whether or not the shelves have any masks on them? Uh-oh, Samantha, why are you in the hospital? I just saw your comment. Samantha said, we're good at the moment, just boring, stuck in hospital. I'm going to scroll up here. It looks like someone's saying, you got your opinion, I got mine. Okay, what's going on here? Truth Seeker Crime Channel says, I'm not flip-flopping. I've stuck with my story since day one. So someone called Truth Seeker a flip-flopper? Let's see here. I'm clicking. Oh man, I missed a conversation here, didn't I, guys? Oh, it's about NK. Okay. This will be interesting. Here we go. If you guys want, I'll head back to the beginning here. I totally missed this. I was, caught up in the story about Marcus from Germany. And I got to tell you, when I was flying onto the plane, I said, "We'll name the baby after you, Marcus. Thank you." And he laughed. He was so hot. Oh my gosh. Oh. He was very blonde and very built. Oh. And I got to hug him. Okay, here she is. Truth Seeker Crime Channel says, "He reminds me much of one of my exes, his personality, even some his looks. Chris was easy, swaying. Yes, that doesn't mean he'd kill." Okay, I think I need to back up farther before Marcus here. Oh, here we go. Okay. M says, "So Truth, where do you land? Do you think she was involved?" She meaning NK, right? Truth says, "I do think NK was involved." Truth said, "I don't think Chris Watts killed the kids." M says, "But why? She was a side piece. She was a rebound, in my opinion." Truth says, "He reminds me much of one of my exes, his personality, even some of his looks. He was easy, swaying. Yes, that doesn't mean he'd kill." Truth says, "I think Chris Watts fell hard for NK. She paid attention to the little things. She was more about him, what he wanted." M says, "He didn't kill anybody, but why does that mean his 6-week side piece did? I'm not on board with that theory. Who would have the motive and personality to kill? Yeah, I agree with you, M. I don't think NK was involved at all." Truth Seeker says, "So Chris Watts ran with it. She felt like a fresh of breath air." That's cute. A fresh of breath air to him. I have a different opinion than that, Truth Seeker, because I think the marriage was already long over, long before that. I think that separation, the marriage was already over. I don't view it as him cheating on his wife at all. I think the marriage was already through. Truth Seeker says, M, because she was so about wanting some Chris Watts, she didn't want kids or competition. That's cute. I don't think she would have viewed Christopher Watts' wife as competition at all. And again, I think that marriage was already long over. Keep in mind, before he started doinking his coworker, his wife was in a hair salon telling the young hairstylist that she was getting divorced and looking forward to being single again. M says she was good in bed, meaning NK. M says she was good in bed. Now men get emotionally involved with gals in bed, ? You guys need to figure out male psychology and stop flip-flopping. Truth Seeker says, I'm not flip-flopping. I've stuck with my story since day one. M says, okay, I didn't mean you personally, just a thought I had about NK. Sorry, I said you. Truth Seeker says, you got your opinion, I have mine. And then she said, okay. And then she said, right on. M says, this case, my family has listened to me go through 1,000, but this one case is a rabbit hole. So much to it. I think, M, that's because we're lied to so many times that we just, like, our little radar goes bing, 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 bing. And we say, oh, we're getting lied to again. Okay, so what is it now, right? Truth Seeker says, are you okay, Samantha? All right. Ooh, not all right. Samantha says, I'm in until the baby comes, which I said all right to as I read it. But then I read with heavy bleeding, not all right. So they've got you off your feet. Well, I'm glad that you have your computer and you can hop online. That's good. That'll help you not be so bored. And it's really good. I mean, your doctors are obviously proactively making sure that you're in good shape and the baby's in good shape. So be thankful for that. $32 weeks. Ooh, keep those feet up. 36 would be great. 39 would be wonderful, yes. And 32 is still good. I mean, right? But 36 is much better. I mean, I'm stating the obvious here. Truth Seeker says, you have many of the thoughts I do, I guess, except NK, I might be wrong. A feeling in my pit. Truth Seeker says, you are right. Why, oh, you are. That the marriage was over. Samantha says, supposed to be February 2nd. Oh, my goodness. So right now, everything's okay. Good, good, good. Wow. Samantha, you're having an exciting time of it, aren't you? You'll have a lot of good stories to tell her when she's older. Like on her birthday. You want to hear the story of your birth? Well, at 32 weeks, I had to be in bed. I was on bed rest. Truth Seeker says, Christopher Watt's wife was too controlling over Chris. It was like she also didn't want some other woman in his eye view. Yeah, I don't think so. I think she was a mental case who had serious issues, and I think that marriage was over long before, and that Christopher Watts and the girls were moving out. I think he was dealing, and his family and whatever friends were dealing with a woman who was easily set off and had a lot of problem behaviors. I think by the time he started doinking his coworker, the marriage was through. And I think that she was putting two and two together, that he was choosing being able to be with the girls instead of staying married to her. M says she didn't care about CW or the girls. Karen says, agree. He hadn't lived yet. I think he was eyeing the door. I think that upcoming court hearing for the ongoing family matter would have been the legal move that was necessary for him and Bella and Cece to be able to move on with their lives. And according to Cindy Watts, she told me that Christopher Watts told her that his wife said she was going to make him pay for this and that he wasn't going to be able to see the girls again. Oh my goodness. Oh, Samantha, are you kidding me? Samantha says she's missing her toddler. She's not allowed on the ward. Oh. And I bet if you ask why, they're going to say COVID. Come on. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Karen says she was a nasty person. I think she had some serious issues going on, Karen. Well, Samantha, hopefully they'll get everything set so that you can actually be on bed rest at home. Hopefully. That's incredible. That's exactly what we were talking about in this live chat. nothing makes sense anymore. And whenever anyone says, what? Then the excuse is always COVID. So pretty much any service providers, any retailers, anybody anywhere offering any service or product or whatever can do whatever the heck they want and say, oh, yeah, well, it's because of COVID. Yeah. And then, the big winners are when you go and there's like a really long line and you're not dumb. You have a memory. You know that certain restaurants are always short staffed or always taking too long, right? But now when they're taking too long, it's because of COVID because they supposedly can't get employees. I don't believe it. Kitty says, my mother was in a Catholic hospital back in the 60s and they wouldn't allow children to come visit parents. Really? I didn't know that ever went on. Wow. M says, I feel I'm being harsh. I should go to bed. LOL, lots of love. I don't mean to be severe. I do disagree with with this Michigan case and Second Amendment, but it's okay. LOL, lots of love. Good night, guys. I'm glad we disagree, That makes the discussion fun. Get a good night's sleep. We're gonna be saying good night here shortly. Samantha says it's not a local hospital either. It's a specialist hospital where I'm under for my kidneys and the oops. Ah, there it is. Wait, where is it? There it is. For the M and the Mister doesn't have a car at the moment. Got it. Well, then you know what, Samantha? If you're going to be in the hospital for an extended stay, then I'll try a lot harder to hang on here or to click on here more often. Because seriously, if you're going to be there and you don't have your baby with you and you don't have your husband coming to bug you, then we'll try to be here for you. I'll try to hop on tomorrow for a Samantha break the boredom live chat. You can tell us what you want us to talk about. And we'll get the road report. We'll get the update. M says, good night, Truth. I'm glad there's no hard feelings. Well, I read through what you guys were saying. I didn't see any hard feelings. I think seriously, no worries because I think we are getting used to the other channels where like we're afraid that other people are gonna like attack us if we say boo, right? I mean, that's what I love about this channel is we have lots of different opinions here. So don't worry about it. Say what you want to say. You know what I mean? And the same goes for Truth Seekers. Say what you want to say. I mean, it's a discussion channel. That's what makes true crime case discussions good. It's when we come from all different, angles and look at things from all different angles. Purple Goddess says, I remember that, Kitty, from the 1960s. I don't remember that. I'm trying to think. I don't think I was ever visiting anyone in the 1960s. In the 1970s, I stayed practically every day. I didn't stay overnights, but I was there every day when my grandpa was in the hospital for a week, and we played a whole lot of pinochle. I'd wheel him down to the fancy room at the end where they had like glass on the ceilings and stuff. It's where the sunshine was. And we'd sit there and play pinochle. I was a kid. I don't know. So it must have changed maybe in the 70s. Karen says, yes, here too, you had to be 16. Really? I didn't know that. Interesting. Yeah, it's different now, isn't it? And I am thinking, when I had my first, it was very different. Like we stayed in the hospital longer. And I think there may have been at that point, I don't know. But when I had my second and my third, by the time I had my third, they started with what they call the birthing rooms. And when I had my second, my third, then it was a thing to bring your other kids right there. It was like a family event instead of just the mom. So maybe that's, yeah, a lot different than it used to be. Oh, good. Everyone's making up. They're kissing and making up. Aw, Samantha says, that's why I love you, Mensa. We love you too, Samantha. We want that baby and you to be healthy, healthy, healthy. So we'll go ahead and we'll entertain you tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but we will. Kitty Witty says, and while the other parent was visiting the sick parent, they had older kids, like 8 or 9, looking after the younger ones in the lobby. Yeah, but you know what, Kitty Witty? They were behaving, weren't they? They were behaving. I know it, Samantha. I haven't seen Susie the last couple times. I hope she's okay too. Hey, MJ. We're just getting ready to say goodnight. Prayers for Samantha tonight, you guys. And for the baby. I'm clicking. Can you hear my little clicker? Purple Goddess says, yes, I remember visiting my grandfather in the 70s. Ms. Merriweather says, my mother just reminded me that her father, my grandfather, wasn't allowed in the delivery room. And you know what? I don't think that's a bad thing. I really don't. I think it's good for men to be pacing in the waiting room. I'm just saying, I don't know. I think that's okay. If a man wants to pace in the waiting room, that might be better. I'm just saying, I'm not sure that the father of the baby is necessarily the best coach. Oh, Samantha says she's a pro at hospital stays. But unlike SW, her issues are not fake ones. LOL, lots of love. Yeah, Jeanette says it best, Samantha. Just hang on a little while longer. Baby will be fine. Good for you, Samantha. Good for you. I remember with, I won't say which one, but with one of our babies, the OBGYN, the OB looks over at my husband and says, so do you want to cut the umbilical cord? And I looked at his face and he looked at the OB like, what? It was so funny. I mean, it wasn't funny at the time, but the OB was he was serious. He was like ready to hand him the thing to cut the umbilical cord. He's like, do you want to cut the umbilical cord? And my husband went like, no. I thought we had already discussed that, but whatever. Oh, that wasn't the same baby when he was doing the circles on my forehead. Oh my gosh. I told you how we went to one Lamaze class, right? He said he didn't need to learn how to breathe. He already knew how to breathe. Ooh, Private Pirate's here. We're just getting ready to say goodnight, Private. So let's kind of like sum it up here. Do we have a voice? Do we use our voice? You know, I think with the case of Christopher Watts, I think those of us here on this channel, in this live chat, and on the Patreon, I think we use our voice, right? We stand firm for our right to discuss the case of Christopher Watts. We stand firm for our right to have our own opinions on the case. We have a voice. But on a grander scale, does society have a voice? Do consumers have a voice? Do consumers of the news, the mainstream media, have a voice? Are we using logic and reason to decipher the information that we're being told? Do we treat each other with respect when we discuss different issues and ideas and opinions? Or basically, is the world just going to hell in a handbasket, as we've seen happening on YouTube, right? With all the weird fighting and all the false narratives and the gangs of scumbag attackers? First of all, MJ says, lots of prayers for Samantha. And Samantha says, I was dancing in between my contractions with the less pain. Don't bother me, but think they nearly took me to the same ward as SW. Oh my goodness. Samantha says, thanks, MJ. I'm tough. We'll be fine. Truth Seeker says, so many with the Christopher Watts get so angry when your statements aren't like theirs. Sometimes cases get solved with different opinions, views. Truth Seeker, I've been a true crimer for many, many years, and I've never seen such bullshit going on as what we've seen with the case of Christopher Watts. It's been bullshit from day one with some of the scummiest people ever, thinking that they're going to control the narrative on the case. Private Pirate says, Miss Mensa, can I jump in with something pertinent to the CW case? Yes, of course, Private Pirate. Jump in. Okay, Private Pirate, jump in. Okay, Private Pirate, jump in. It's 12:41, Private Pirate, jump in fast. I'm tired. I haven't yawned, though. That's cool. Here she is. Okay. Private Pirate says, I was listening to the replay of one of your recent lives discussing whether or not it was moving day. Yes, I think it was moving day, Private. Yeah, no yawning yet, Samantha. That's cool. Because, you know, we've got the 3 yawn rule. No, that's okay, Private. Go ahead. I'm just glad you posted that first part so that I know that you're there. Samantha says, I definitely agree it was moving day. I know it. It's a weird thing, isn't it? But I think it was. Okay, so Private says, so I read an interesting observation on Reddit. Okay, good. This will be good. 3 of a kind's here. 3 of a kind says, hi, MM. Hi, ladies. I was just getting ready to go to work, but saw you were live and just wrapping up and wanted to just hop on and say that Susie's power is probably out. Second major storm here in 2 weeks. Oh, my goodness. Okay, thanks for letting us know. Because we've missed her the last few times. That's true. Three of a kind. She might be sleeping too. Okay, we're waiting for Private Pirate to finish her thought here. In the meantime, I got to tell you something. We got hit with a really good snowstorm. So I got out of the driveway quick before the county plowed and I went shopping. And I found the perfect dress for Christmas. Oh my goodness. The perfect dress. So it's always a banner day when you find the perfect clothes, right? Still waiting for private. Okay, here she is. Someone noted, now this is the Reddit post, right? Someone noted how the house looked like it was staged for sale and mentioned in the laundry room that SW had pictures of beach scenes instead of detergent, etc., that you'd expect to see. Kind of fits the theory. I think it was moving day. I think that upcoming court hearing was to sever access to the children. I think when she told her quote unquote friends that whenever she tried to talk to Christopher Watts about their relationship, that he would say that he wasn't going to lose the girls, that pretty much tells you what was going on. Three of a Kind said thousands of homes still without power here in the UK. Oh my goodness. Scotland was especially affected. Ours was out last week for 4 days. Oh, and we're expecting second storm to hit this morning. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. I missed something. Who bit who? Somebody bit someone. Oh, okay. Evidently, CC hit or CC bit CW and SW never showed empathy, blah, blah, blah. And then people are saying she never showed empathy, period. I don't think she knew how to show empathy. I think that was related to a certain mental illness. I think she was like a chameleon, kind of copying other people's behaviors. And I don't think empathy was something that she actually had for people. I think she might feign empathy if she was copying other people's facial expressions. Jeanette said, Samantha, we may go, but you'll be in our thoughts. That's exactly right. Samantha says, thanks, 3. I'm cut off from the world in here, not watched any news. Yes, Private Pirate, not only that it was for sale, because remember, Christopher Watts thought that it was actually listed already. He believed the house was already listed. Did you know that? Exactly, Samantha. That's what I think. Wait, you're talking borderline? I think bipolar or more. But I think you think borderline, right? CC bit CW and SW showed no empathy. I don't think empathy was in her bag of tricks. I don't. Which is so sad, you know? It's really sad. And what's also sad is that there's just a handful of us who are gutsy enough to say so. Which brings us back to all the other stuff I was saying. We have a voice. We do have a voice. We can stand up to these retailers who are, in my opinion, screwing us by simply remembering how they have acted and how they are acting in the last year and a half. And then making choices with where we spend our money. Yes, Samantha. The whole thing with the realtor, he believed that it was listed. I'm ready to click on the other comments, and then I'm thinking, oh, I'll keep talking. I know I will. So let's see. We've been doing this for 2 hours and 42 minutes. So let's go ahead and say goodnight. Everyone get a good night's sleep or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Survive the storms. Don't forget your vitamin D. Don't forget your vitamins. And remember, first of all, I'll do this again tomorrow. I'll hop on and we'll keep on having our convo. So in the meantime, be safe, be healthy. Oh, Three of a Kind says, quick question before you leave. Whose live chat were you on the other day? You mentioned it on last live. Is it the one where the woman was saying stuff and the host was like, which one? Refresh my memory. Or is it the one that I listened to for a little bit where he was talking about the solicitor, maybe? Oh, the gun chat? That was Uncivil Law. He has a really interesting channel. He explains the law to his subs. It's pretty good. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I'm just watching the comments here. Oh, there's yawn number one. I'm just watching the comments here to see if there's any more. Okay, looks like we're ready to roll up the streets here. Okay, it was the gun chat. That would be the Uncivil Law. That's a really good one. Where he talks, a couple of the things he said, though, I don't, like he said, we don't know yet the information really to form an opinion. But he has some interesting stuff. Purple says, vitamin D, I would rather remain inside and film. Thank you, Samantha. Samantha started us off with good night, John Boy. I'll put good night, Mary Ellen, and then I'll repeat it again. We'll hop on here again tomorrow. I have no idea what time, you guys. And in the meantime, be safe, be healthy, and know that you are loved. Good night, everyone.